Go slow because it's still super hot. We're cutting it into burnt hand sized pieces. And these cubes are what we're going to toss in our sauce and get back on the smoker. And you know they're going to be good. So now I'm just separating the fat from our liquid. That looks about right to me. And I'm going to pour in just a little bit of barbecue sauce. That's what's going to really glaze these burnt ends. I probably got quarter cup, that's about all that was in that bottle. I'm just going to kind of mix it around, incorporate it with the drippings that cooked out of that point. So we're just tossing each one of these burnt end cubes in our sauce mixture here. And we're just lining them back up in the pan. We're going to stick them back on the cooker just for a few minutes, tighten that bark up, and we only need 15, 20 more minutes tops to set these burnt ends because you can see they're super soft. I mean, there's just packed with juice, packed with flavor. All of that fat's rendered in them. So all I'm gonna do is just drizzle the tops just a little bit more salt right on the bark side. And we'll use our brush, just kind of moisten it. We're just gonna glaze each one of those just a little bit on the bark. They're not covered in barbecue sauce, just the tops. Now we're ready to take our pan of burnt ends back to the cooker. We're gonna need about 10, 15 minutes tops. These burnt ends are gonna be ready. So I put the burnt ends back on the glaze and the flat's ready to come off. Now I want to show y'all what it looks like. Let's get it out of this butcher paper. We've got one awesome brisket flat. That's what I'm talking about. But I'm going to show you how I'd cut this up. You're going to serve it. You just want to get a good brisket knife. Check that out. Man, if that ain't perfect, I don't know what is. Start getting into some good pieces right in here. I mean, look at that. Folds over, separates like it's supposed to. Comes right apart. Got a little fat on bottom, that's okay. That's textbook brisket right there. The seasonings are great on the outside. It's good and beefy. Got a little bit of fat on bottom. I'm gonna go ahead and slice the rest of it up here. And that's it right there. Perfectly cooked flat. See that smoke ring in it? Got a lot of moisture still left in that meat. Talk about some good eating. A little bit of fat left on bottom. That's what I want to see. Hey, this flat is awesome, but I'm more excited about these burnt ends. They're going to be done in just a second. All right, 15 minutes, and it doesn't take long. You can see that sauce is already set on top of those burnt ends. They are looking great. And I'm just going to get them out here on the pan and put them on the cutting board. I usually just give them one last little mix around in the sauce. I want them to be sticky, juicy, saucy. That's what burnt ends are supposed to be. Super soft, melt in your mouth almost texture. You shouldn't have to work too hard to chew one of these burnt ends. And that's why it's the best part of the brisket. It's just all cooked down. You've got all that flavor that's in the point from that fat that renders down through it, the rub, the seasoning, the smoke. Hey, now that's what I call a pile of burnt ends, and you know they're good. I can't wait to try one, but real quick, before I try one, let's talk about what we did. Now, I started with that whole pack of brisket, and I trimmed it down, separated the flat and the point. So I was really just concentrating on making burnt ends. We seasoned that point up, the AP rub, barbecue rub, got a little bit of that steak and chop all over the top of it. Got it in some smoke. Yeah, we had that flat on there too. We're gonna eat that later on, but we're really wanting to watch that point, get it rendered, and then get it tender. That's what it's all about. And that's what we did. It took about 7.5 hours, and then we glazed them for 15 minutes. We put them in a pan with a little beef broth halfway through, covered it up. That's what broke them down. And then we cubed them when they got really good and soft. The temps was over about 210 degrees. And I've got one right here with my name on it. I can't wait to try it. Look how soft that is. I mean, that's exactly how I want a burnt end to taste. It's got all that great beefy flavor and the rub and the smoke. And we've got it sweetened up with a little bit of the sauce mixed back with those meat juices that cooked out. I mean, it is on time. I'm going in for another one. All that needs a little bit of these red onions. Put a little spicy pickles and jalapenos on there, that sweet fire. It is super easy to turn one of these brisket points into these mouth-watering burnt ends. Hey, if y'all are firing up the grill this Labor Day weekend, go ahead and give this recipe a try. You can pick up that whole brisket, trim it, nothing to it, get it on your pit, run it about 250 degrees till it gets tender. Thanks for checking out our video today. If you want to find out when we're putting out more videos, subscribe to our channel. It'll let you know when we got new stuff coming out. You can also send those comments and questions to Facebook or Twitter. We love those. We'll see y'all next time. I want to give them one. I got to put a jalapeno in this pickled onion. That's what doesn't that look awesome? I'm gonna make some happy judges right there. Hey, welcome back to How to Barbecue Right. I'm Malcolm Reed. Today I'm going to show you how I do a ribeye for a steak cook-off. You might have seen these SCA events popping up all over the place. They started a few years ago, and I fell in love with them. They're fun because they're one-day events, and all you need is a grill, a pop-up tin, a cooler full of cold beer. You can go have a great time cooking an awesome steak. Now, the way these things work, you show up usually on a Saturday morning. They have a cook's meeting. That's where you select your 2 steaks, and everybody gets a fair share at getting 2 great-looking ribeyes. Then you have a couple hours to season them, marinate them, whatever you want to do to them. And then a turn-in window, usually it's 30 minutes, from 2 to 2:30, something like that. And that's the time you put your steak in. There's no garnish. You're just turning in meat. It's getting blind judged. They have the results usually about an hour or so after turn-ins, and then you go home. And all that's in one day. That's really what I love about them. They're quick, they're fun, and who doesn't love cooking a good steak? So today I'm going to show you how I cook a ribeye for one of these steak cook-offs. It's real easy, and if you got a grill, you can follow along with me. Let's get to cooking. So when you go to pick out your ribeyes for one of these steak cook-offs, they lay out all the steaks on a couple tables, and everybody draws a number and lines up, and you get to go through and pick them out one at a time. Now I want to show you what I'm looking for. See, I've got a couple ribeyes here on my cutting board, and what I want to see laid on the table is a good spinalis, or this muscle that wraps around the front of the ribeye, the cap. That's where I want the judges to eat from, and it has a lot of great flavor. It's really tender meat, has a lot of marbling in it. And I don't care if it has a little fat in it, that's okay, but ribeyes are supposed to have fat. There's a ton of flavor in them. And usually they trim them 1 1/4 or 16 to 18 ounces. That's the ideal steak. And we're supposed to cook these steaks to a medium doneness. That means it still has a warm pink center all the way through. We'll get more into what it's supposed to look like later, but I want to show you how I trim them. I've already got my steaks selected. I get them back to my cook site. What I want to do is, if it has a tail on it or any of this excess fat, I want to trim that off. I'm just shaping the steaks up. So I use a sharp knife and I just round it out. I want to keep the integrity of the steak. I don't want to take too much of it off, but if there's anything hanging, like this side right here, I'll go ahead and clean that up too. I don't want it to give the judge any off appearance, because we're judged on how these steaks look as well as how they taste and the doneness of them. Now you can see on this steak, it has a little bit of extra skin on the outside, and usually I'll go in and I'll just take the edge of my knife, carefully remove that fat too. I don't want a judge getting a bite of fat on there. This exposes that spinalis a little more, and I didn't take off too much of it. I still want a good part of meat there. I'm gonna do the same thing on this side. I'm just gonna round out this tail of this ribeye. You can also save this fat. It's great for seasoning your grill. Once you get it fired up, you can throw it on there and get your grates good and seasoned up with some beef fat. And I'm just doing the same thing. I'm carefully going down, taking off a little bit of that silver skin, that excess fat there on the side, just shaping it up, cleaning that steak up. So now that we have the ribeyes trimmed, it's time to get our seasonings on them. And I know there's a million recipes for cooking steaks. Everybody's got their own favorite way, but I want to show you how I do it for a contest. And I start with a good dose of salt, pepper, and garlic. Use my AP seasoning. We're putting a good layer on both sides. And I like this salt, pepper, and garlic to sit for at least 30 minutes before I do anything else with these steaks. Just drop them in a pan, put them in the ice chest, let them stay good and cool. Let that salt, let that garlic, that pepper work on this meat. Let those flavors get down in it. And while these ribeyes are resting, I'm gonna go up and fire up my grill and show you what we're gonna cook them on today. Now in an SCA event, you can cook on any fire or heat source you want. I bring one of these classic PK grills to me to every cook-off. These things are steak cooking machines. They're easy to operate and they're easy to transport. I just start a whole chimney full of charcoal, a couple wax starter cubes, let those coals get good and hot, and then spread them out in the bottom of this PK. I add about another half chimney of unlit on top, and that lets those temperatures climb upwards of 500 degrees. I'm gonna put a couple chunks of cherry wood right in there on the hot coals and get the grate back in place. And I'll also have a set of grill grates on top. These things are a must when you're cooking SCA events. It puts those beautiful grill marks on it that you want to see, and it helps those appearance scores. And hey, leave those vents wide open on the PK. We want all the air to flow through our grill. So whatever grill you're cooking on, you want to get those temps up over 500 and let some air in so it can breathe. Okay, our steaks have set for about 30 minutes, and you can see that AP rub really starts to change them. Makes them a little bit darker in color. It's pulled out some moisture of them. It's working its way down in the meat. This is the time where I'm going to get the rest of my seasoning on these steaks. So I'm just starting with a little bit of my steak rub, and this rub has a little bit more texture to it. Gives it a great flavor. It kind of makes a little bit of a crust. And you never see that texture once it's cooked, but it makes a great flavor on these steaks. And I'm not going real heavy, you just want to coat on both sides. The last seasoning that I put on them is a little bit of spicy barbecue rub. This is my hot rub. And we're not rubbing it like we would a slab of ribs or a pork butt. Just putting a little color on the outside. It gives it a great flavor, but it also, you can see, it gives that steak kind of a reddish tone. And I really like that appearance. All right, so our PK is getting good and hot, and I'm just gonna check the surface temp on it. I wanna see it over 500 degrees, and check that out. I don't know if you can read that. We're about 520 right there, getting a few different readings, but I know we're over 500 degrees if I can hold it still. That means these coals are good and hot. Those grill grates are ready to sear these steaks, and we're ready to cook these ribeyes. So now our first steak's going on the grill. I've just got a good clean grill grate, got a little bit of light oil on it. I put the steak on at an angle, mash it down so we can get some really good marks on it. I'm gonna follow the same thing on this other steak.
Are you serious?
Ribeyes down, give it a little mash. We're gonna get our timer set, and we're gonna close the lid. All right, we've had our first steak. Now it's time to give these steaks a twist, and that's really gonna give them that great grill mark. Do the same thing.
Bullshit.
Just rotate to the other side of the grill. Give them a little mash. Get it closed. Steaks, once we flip them over, I used to use salted butter. I've got one stick in here that I melted in this little cast iron pot, and I seasoned it with about a teaspoon of AP, just kind of eyeball it. It's gonna give that butter a little flavor, but it's gonna be a really great addition to the top of our ribeye. It's been a total of 4 minutes, and we should have our grill marks right now for these steaks. This is a fast cook. We're gonna get them flipped over, see what we did. Oh yeah, perfect grill marks. There we go, 2 perfect grill marks. This is where I want to baste them with a little bit of butter. We're setting our timer for about 1.5 minutes on this go around. Get the lid closed. So after about 1.5 minutes, I want to start watching these internal temperatures. You can see I've got my thermopin here. We're sitting at about 116 on this steak, 110 on this one. Still got a little ways to go, but I'm going to go ahead and give them a twist after 1.5 minutes. Perfect time to get one last baste in. And we're not worried about time on this last turn. This is where we're going to I'm looking at 128, 130 degrees. That's it. I'm going to take them off and watch these real close with my thermopin. It's the only way we can get them just right. All right, the temp on this first steak is running about 128, and that's where I want to get it off the grill. It's going to carry up to about 5 degrees. We want it to just sit and rest for about 10 minutes. I'm going to baste it with another little bit of butter. Our last steak's right there at 129. I want to get it off before it gets to 130. What I like to do is one last little baste of butter when they come off. Short rest. These steaks will be ready to turn in. So once these steaks have rested for about 7 minutes, we got to make the decision on which one we're turning in. I usually just go for the one that I think that looks best. These both hit perfect temperature, so either one of them should be right there on doneness. So everybody gets one of these to-go boxes to turn their steak in. It'll have a little full disc in the bottom of it so you can put a hot steak in there and not worry about melting the box. No garnish, no anything in the box, just a steak. So I'm gonna pick one of these right here. This is my go-to ribeye. I'm gonna lay it right in the box, and I like to do it kind of at an angle where they just can see it. Got a grill line, see the grill mark. Close the lid, off it would go to the turn-in. Now the steak that's left over, that's the one everybody likes because that's the one we all get to try. And at these contests, man, you've got people cutting up their steaks, bringing their bites, cutting their bites. That's what's great about it. It's a lot of camaraderie. Everybody's having a good time. And everybody wants to cook the winning steak. So let's cut into this one and see what it looks like. So I'm just going to cut it in half first so I can see what the doneness looks like. So check the doneness out on this steak. I mean, that's perfect. We've got that perfect medium. It's pink through and through. It's got a warm center. That's what you want for medium. And now we got to cut it up so we can try it. And that's what the judges would do. They would get it in the to-go box. They'd cut it in the box, the cut table, bring it over to them, let them judge the appearance of it, see the grill mark, see the doneness. And they're going to come in there, and I want them to get a bite of that spinalis. See, that's perfectly medium all the way through, and that's what I want to try. Textbook ribeye. It's got a saltiness. You can get the pepper and the garlic, the butter over the top. Gives it a real rich, perfect flavor. But you taste the beef. And that's what I want the judges to taste of this contest. I'm not trying to get outside the box. I'm
serious.
And hey, let them decide if they like it or not, because we have no control of that. Hey, you got to check out these SCA contests. Go to their website, find one close to you. You can go get certified to judge, but you got to get out there. It's a lot of fun. Hey, thanks for checking us out today here at How to Barbecue Right. If you like what we're doing, subscribe to our channel. It'll let you know we're putting out new stuff. You can also send those comments and questions to our Facebook and Twitter pages. We love those, and we'll try to answer them all. We'll see you guys next time. Turn that in, will you? Hey, Malcolm Reed here, and this is How to Barbecue Right. Today I'm going to show you how to do some hanger steaks on the grill. If you've never had hanger steak, it's tender as a fillet, but it eats just like a ribeye. I'm also going to do some mushrooms that we're going to cook down in some Worcestershire and red wine. They're going to be fantastic. Let's get to cooking. So the first thing we're going to do today is get our grill fired up. I'm going to be cooking on my Kong ceramic grill today, but you can cook this recipe on any grill. Just set it up for direct heat. I'm running some B&B hickory lump charcoal. I want a good hot fire. Got a couple B&B starters going on to get that fire going. When those coals get ashed over a little bit, you want to go ahead and close the lid. Let the tip slowly come up. You got to have some intake, so open the intake exhaust about 2 fingers wide, and then open the top wide open until we get the fire up. We're looking for about 550 degrees, right in that range, to sear these hanger steaks. It'll be so now that we got the grill going, it's time to get our hanger steaks ready, and we're gonna have to do a little bit of trimming first. Now these hanger steaks came from Matador Prime Beef. They did a real good job taking off a lot of the silver skin, but when you get a hanger steak, it's usually connected by this tough piece of connected tissue. You separate this into 2 steaks. And you're going to take your knife and get as close to that connective tissue line as you can and start working down it. You don't want to cut away too much of the meat. You just want to take out that piece of connective tissue because it's really tough and you wouldn't be able to chew it. So I'm kind of just using my knife, making shallow cuts and going right down it. It'll separate it right into 2 pieces. Now we can come back and take this piece of connective tissue out. I'm just going to use the knife and go the other way. Stay shallow. Don't want to waste too much of that good meat. And that's the connective tissue that was right in the middle. You just want to take it out just like that. Now we've got 2 steaks that we can work with. And they're kind of like, you know, pieces of filet mignon. They've got that same shape. You know they're going to grill up. They're going to be really tender. I'm just going to clean up a little bit more of this excess silver skin. Just to render down. We're going to be cooking these hot and fast. And I'm not getting real crazy. I don't want to take off a lot of the fat. We're just going to clean up this other steak. But with this prime beef like this, I mean, you can see it's marbled up. It's going to have a ton of flavor. Hanger steak, you know, a lot of times it's overlooked. They call it hanger steak or butcher steak because it's good for themselves. I mean, it's like eating filet mignon. So I've got the hanger steak all trimmed. You know, we've got 4 nice sized pieces, and we're going to just get these seasoned up. I'm keeping it really simple today. The only thing I'm going to do is we're going to put some olive oil on the outside, kind of give us a little bond. I'm even doing these little pieces that were on the edges, you know, those would be my pieces. That's a test meat. Now I'm just going to rub this olive oil in a little bit on the outside, and we're going to go ahead and season it. And I'm using just my steak rub. I like a really coarse rub on hanger steak. Salt, you gotta have some peppers in there, you gotta have some other herbs and seasonings. And this really gives it a great flavor on the outside, but it gives it some texture too. We're just patting the seasonings. And you can see the texture that that steak rub gives it, the coarser grind on those seasonings. All over, repeat that step. We want rub and seasoning on all sides of our meat. Just give it another little bit of drizzle of olive oil, a little more seasoning here. If you've got your favorite rub for steak, here, experiment with it. A good coarse rub like this gives it a ton of flavor. Hang out for about 20 minutes before we grill them. It's going to be the perfect time to cook the mushrooms that are going to go along with it. So to go along with these hanger steaks today, I'm doing some baby portobello mushrooms. I'll tell you right here on the grill. Starting with a little bit of butter, Also gonna add just a tablespoon or two of olive oil. Kind of give that butter a little higher smoke. Now I'm just gonna add some garlic, just got a couple cloves, a little bit of finely diced shallot. We're gonna saute that in butter and olive oil. Shallot and garlic only need a minute or two just to kind of fry in that butter and olive oil. I'm gonna add a mushroom. You also want to season them a little bit. For that, I'm just using some salt, pepper, and garlic. Now I got to hit them with that AP. Just give them a good little dose there. Doesn't need a whole lot. Now we're going to add our Worcestershire sauce, a little bit of red wine. Use your favorite wine. Now we're just going to close the lid on the Kong here and let the mushrooms cook down. What we're doing is we're kind of reducing that Worcestershire, that red wine. Those mushrooms are giving off some moisture. We don't really want it saucy. It's going to have some sauce to it, but it's going to